very simple message. No president has ever fought for Christians as hard as I have, and I will keep on fighting for Christians as hard as I can for 4 more years in the White House, and we will do things that nobody has ever been able to do. Just think of what we already achieved with the help of many of the great people in this room. I know so many of you. We did more to uphold religious liberty than any administration in history, according to everybody. I fearlessly protected the religious freedoms of doctors, nurses, teachers, and faith groups like the Little Sisters of the Poor. I blocked the IRS from using the Johnson Amendment to interfere with pastors' freedom of speech. Very important. Very important. I stopped Barack Hussein Obama's hateful and bigoted assault on faith-based adoption and foster care services, and I restored your right to help those beautiful children find a loving family. I took historic action to defend the religious liberty of students in public schools and on college campuses, so important. And I was the first president to convene a meeting at the United Nations to end religious persecution worldwide. We did that. As president, thank you very much. As president, I stood proudly with our friend and ally, the State of Israel. I kept my promise, recognized Israel's eternal capital, and opened the American Embassy in Jerusalem. And I got the embassy built. They were starting to raise funds and do the funding, and they said it was going to cost $2 billion. And I said, $2 billion? And I told my people, do you have a site? We are the United States, and we have sites all over the place. And real estate, because I see a couple of my great real estate friends right here. And I said, you have a site that's a great site, much better than the one that they wanted to buy for a tremendous amount of money, way overpaying. That man, whoever owned that site, does not like me very much. He was going to make a fortune. And they came back to me the following day and said, yes, sir, we do have a site. We have a great site. Is there a building on it? Yes, there is. It's abandoned, but it's a very strong building, structurally good. And I took that building and I said, I called off everything. I had my people go and check it. I said, how much would it cost to rebuild that building and make it the embassy? They said, about $400,000. That's slightly less than $2 billion, right? And it's the first time I've ever said this in business. I said, you know, that sounds too cheap. It's usually that's too expensive. I said, that sounds too cheap. That's too inexpensive. So let's make it a little bit more. Let's spend a little bit more. We'll make it $500,000. And we got it built for $500,000, and we used Jerusalem stone. Jerusalem stone is a very rare and beautiful stone, unless you're in Jerusalem. And a friend of mine has office space at a beautiful office building in New York, and every time I walk in, he tells me about, this is Jerusalem stone. Look, the wall opposite the elevator. And he's so proud of the Jerusalem stone. He said, I paid a fortune for it. He's told me that every time I walk in, he tells me about Jerusalem stone. So what I did is I said, do you think we could do the whole building in Jerusalem stone? Absolutely. We have so much Jerusalem stone here. I said, is it expensive? They said, not at all. It's cheap as you can imagine. And we did it in Jerusalem stone, and it is a truly beautiful embassy, and there's no reason for them ever to do anything else because it's a beauty and it's the best location there is in Jerusalem, and it was a great honor. So we not only designated, we also got it built, and built many years ahead of schedule. So it was, and we saved approximately $2 billion, so that was okay. But I also recognized they were working on this for 58 years. I recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, you know that, and took care of that. I was done. 52 years they worked on it. Planes would come in every season, planes that have meetings that would last for 2 days, and then they'd leave, nothing would happen. I got it done in about 12 minutes. And I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. Disaster. And here at home, we totally transformed the federal judiciary appointing nearly 300 judges to interpret the law and the Constitution as written. Very big thing. Together, all of us, we withstood vicious attacks to confirm 3 great Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. And I'm also very proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Very proud. Thank you. From my very first day in office, I took action to protect the unborn. I reinstated the Mexico City policy. You know what that is? Stopped taxpayer funding for the abortion industrial complex, which is what it's called. And I was the first sitting president to ever attend the March for Life rally right here in Washington, D.C. They all said they're going, but they never got there. 1 year ago, in a victory that conservatives had been seeking for exactly 50 years, those Supreme Court justices, together with others on the court, ruled to end the moral and constitutional atrocity known as Roe v. Wade. Thank you very much. So now pro-lifers have a tremendous power to negotiate, which they didn't have at all before the ruling. They had no power. They could do anything they wanted to the unborn. No power. You had nothing. You had no seat at the table. This moves the issue back to the states, which all legal scholars wanted on both sides. They wanted it to go back to the states. And like President Ronald Reagan before me, I support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. And again, that's a decision that you're going to have to make for yourself, and you have to go by your heart and what you feel. But I do, and I will say politically, it's a very tough decision for some people, but very, very hard on elections. Very, very hard. This was, we had midterms, and this was an issue, you know. They are the radical ones. We are not the radical ones. They are the radical ones. Remember, the Democrats are the people that will do things that nobody thought anybody would ever do. They'll kill babies in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th month, and they'll even kill babies in some cases after birth. They are the radicals. We're not doing that. They're doing that. And I said to politicians, they just don't know how to talk about this issue. It's a complex issue. But they don't know how to talk about it. And if they don't speak about it correctly, they're not going to win. They're not going to win. And they turned it around, the Democrats mostly. They turned it around and put it on us. And we have to take that issue. And now, really, for the first time, we have to run very strongly. But we have to know how to speak. I watch some of these politicians speaking, and it's so bad. They don't understand what it is that they're talking about, and they lost a lot of elections, and we can't let that happen. This was a great victory, but you have to be able to talk, and you have to say exactly that. They are a group of people that are willing to do things that nobody thought ever would be acceptable. In other countries, many other countries, it's not acceptable. Just this week, Kamala Harris, did you ever hear of her? She refused 7 times in a row to say that she opposes abortion on demand. She refused to say it right up until the moment of birth. And again, in some cases, you have after birth. It's just murder. After birth. And you have, in some cases, legislation. If you remember the former governor of Virginia, he got up. Michael Jackson, remember his wife said he was going to do, he got into a lot of trouble. And he was going to imitate Michael Jackson moonwalking. And his wife said, no, don't do it. And she saved him a great embarrassment. But he talked about the baby is born. And after the baby is born, We talk to the mother, and we make a decision on what to do. This is after the baby is born. And people have to understand what's going on. But now you have this tremendous power to negotiate something, and something will be negotiated because we have to bring our country together on this issue. Something's going to happen. We had to get rid of that. We did it from many standpoints, including every single scholar. Everybody wanted it to go back to the states. And now we can win elections on this issue. But it's very delicate, and explaining it properly is extremely important. Many politicians who are pro-life do not know how to properly discuss a topic which is so important to the people in this room and so important to millions and millions of people in our country. You know, that poll's 51-49, and it goes both ways. It's been that way for many years. Sometimes pro-life, it's 51, sometimes it's 49, but it's been this way for, there are other issues, by the way, that haven't been. They started off there, but now they're issues that have been settled. But it's 51-49, and it's been that way for many, many years. We gave them this incredible power to negotiate a great deal. We gave people representing us, and maybe that will be me, but we gave people representing us an incredible power to do something that's really a fantastic thing if we can do this. And we're going to get it done. And you all know what I mean. Before the termination of Roe v. Wade, there was just no power, no rights, no anything. So we're going to do something because done properly, our nation, after 52 years, can finally come together. It's a very important thing for so many different, from so many different views. And just in finishing on that, and I think it's extremely, it's something we have to say, and something has to be said. We have to know how to deal with that issue properly. And again, you have to follow your heart. You have to follow your beliefs. You have to follow God. But it's an issue that we have to get resolved in our country. In another great victory for our movement last year, the Supreme Court issued a landmark decision protecting school prayer. So many great rulings. School prayer.
Because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that